Welcome to Deeply Disturbing Things,
the podcast.
I'm Macy.
And I'm Naomi.
And that's Sarah.
Over there.
Hello. And we're two anxious counselors who like to talk about deeply disturbing things.
If you believe normal is boring, knowledge is power, and laughter is the best medicine, this is the podcast for you.
Join us.
Let's dive in. You get to go first.
No, you're first this
What?
time. What are you even talking about?
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, I am.
I think you're wrong, but I'll take it.
I don't think so.
Because you did sleep sickness last time second. I did Brittany Griner first.
That's right. I mean, I can go. Let me pull my shit up. Hold on.
Pull your shit up.
I'm going to pull my shit up.
You know what? I've been really disheartened that
I like how you say disheartened.
Posting our podcast about Brittany Griner has
not released Brittany Griner.
Well, has led to a lot of hateful comments being posted on our Instagram that I've had to delete instantly.
Has it?
Mm-hmm. Really
That's
hateful
super
stuff.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
You know what? Stop it. We don't care.
This isn't the podcast for you.
Go away.
It's not the podcast for haters.
There's plenty of other places to go. Okay, so first of all, I'm doing more of a recent event, a current event. Ooh, we'll pause. Sorry, I don't know.
Oh, I don't think we've started the video.
All right.
There we go. We have two videos going. It's very complex in here. I don't know which camera to look at.
So I'm going to do a current eventy thing.
Oh my God, mine's a current
I'm
eventy
kind of wondering,
thing too.
I was like really anxious that we would be doing the same thing. I don't know.
It's about time. It's been a while since we've done twin podcast topics. It's happened twice before. Scientology and Sasquatch.
You're right.
Uh-huh. Great.
I know. Like, what are the odds? Twice.
These are connected.
So I'm going to talk about
I'm like, is it?
I know. I'm going to talk about the deadly crush in Seoul.
Oh God.
Saturday night.
It's too soon for me.
I know. Okay. So I'm glad you didn't do this topic.
No, I feel like for me, when it's something that really is upsetting, I have to get some distance because things
rough.
need to settle.
Well,
you know,
I'm gonna,
process for me, process for them.
I'm
like
going to dig it up for you right now.
everybody, you know, because
So
it's
this
like people are still going through it. So I think we have to just be sensitive.
it's my topic. So too bad. So
Well, we can be sensitive on your topic.
we are sensitive on my topic. Wow. We are sensitive on my topic. It's important to talk about it. And I'll tell you why it's important to talk about it in a little bit. So this is in South Korea. If folks didn't know what this was, I saw a bunch of news articles about it. Did you see, like, it was confusing to first figure out what happened because of how it was reported. And it was very confusing, I guess. I think it's still confusing about how the events unfolded.
Yeah, as I do, I watch way too much.
Right.
'Cause that's what I do when something
Right.
like that happens.
Mhm.
I obsess over it and watch and read everything I can.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
that's what's wrong with me.
So this was on
Just one of the things.
Saturday night of that Halloween weekend. 150 people died, mostly young adults, in a deadly crush. And that's what confused me because it kept us saying crush. I'm like, what does that mean?
I've heard that term used like in incidents in the UK that have involved with what they call football games.
Oh yeah.
So that's where I've heard that term. So I think it's like a UK term.
And this one definitely triggered the your other topic of the fire
station
house fire. Yeah. So mainly young people out on Halloween weekend. They were all gathering in South Korea's capital of Seoul. So it's big party spot, narrow streets, very popular place to go, not uncommon for a lot of people to be out. However, there was more than 100,000 people that night in the area, which was way more than normal. And this neighborhood is served by a metro station. And so there were streams of people coming from both ends of this narrow main street that people were going on. And what ended up happening was from like 5 p.m. on, the street just started getting more and more packed. And here's a picture of how packed it was. And there's nowhere to go. Like once you're in that street, you're stuck until you get to either end. So what ended up happening, one of the most disturbing things about this was that people started to get panicked in the middle. They started to feel like they were being crushed, like they couldn't move, can't breathe. And there were many calls to the police at this point saying that they couldn't get out, that there was panic, that people were struggling. And that happened before it started even getting into a crisis.
Oh, wow.
So police were called, and yet nobody was sent for help at that moment. Like there was no immediate help. Even though the police were very aware of the event that was happening that night, they were stationed all around the district, but nobody came to those distress calls.
And I don't think they were prepared for that number of people. This was the first Halloween event since lockdown.
Oh,
And so many people were just excited to be out and celebrate and have fun.
So this was an alley off of the main road, and there was only one police officer in the area at the time. And they started getting calls. A police officer asked if the caller meant that people like weren't flowing well, like maybe it was like congested. And the caller said, no, people are getting crushed, falling. And then what if there's a big accident? The caller responded, this is so chilling right now. The police officer told the first caller they would send someone to go check it out, but no significant reinforcements were sent for hours. Authorities said they had 137 officers on ground that night, but there was too many people in the area in general. But they still didn't, not even just there was too many people, they did not respond to the call. Video showed people like starting to get into that narrow alleyway. And then there were 10 more emergency calls within the next 3.5 hours, where they actually started releasing the transcripts, which was unusual for the police to do. So next few calls came in about 2 hours later, and onward throughout the night of emergency calls, describing what some people said was stumbling, being pushed, getting hurt. One caller described where there was like an incident near one of the nightclubs. Someone said, I feel like I'm going to get crushed. Many people are getting crushed. It's chaos. They begged, please help us. The caller was reassured that police were being sent, but records show they were not. And out of the 11 phone calls made to police, they only mobilized officers for 4 of them. The police did not dispatch anyone in response to the calls made at that kind of mid-hour before. So leading up to that, when the crush really started getting chaotic, no one was sent. So the last call made, one of the briefest, the caller said, it feels like people are getting crushed here. Minutes later, the actual event or crisis happened. So the pathway kind of sloped in on one end, and people started falling in, crowds pressing from both ends, because what happened was the people on the ends. And like I had to like actually watch a video of the street to see
sloping on both sides.
Well, sloping on one end here. But what happened is everyone's just trying to go in. And when you're on the far end, you have no idea what's happening in the center. So everyone's just coming in like nothing's wrong, while people in the middle are getting more and more crushed. I know. It's so scary. So scary. Do you want to add anything?
Well, I mean, maybe you're going to say.
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, there's video you can see where the whole crowd is chanting, push, push,
yeah,
push,
back out,
because they were stuck and they just felt like that was the solution to get out, is to push their way out.
People were starting to climb over each other, trying to climb up.
I saw a video of one guy, but they didn't show the end of it. I'm like, I was trying to imagine, because I always put myself in those situations.
Yeah,
is like, I don't have a lot of arm strength.
Like, I know.
I was trying to climb a wall.
I would be knocked down. I would have.
And then he's like climbing over this like big neon sign, and I'm like, did he escape? Did he fall back in? Because I'm imagining if it was me, I think I would have to give up at some point and just
Oh.
like, damn it, I tried, you know.
Well, and that's what's
Maybe
so
they'll crowd
scary.
surf me out. I don't know. That's what I'd be hoping.
Well, and I think most people like don't think it'll happen to them or like, oh, I'll figure it out. But like
I don't
these
know. I
are
always think it'll happen.
these
to
are
me.
like, you know, healthy young adults mostly. Like, so it's not like they couldn't. It was that I mean, well, it's not that they physically couldn't protect themselves, but they just
Couldn't.
can't.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's no space.
There's no, yeah. And when you're that tight, like, and then there's more and more. And if you get knocked down, you're just effed at that
then
point.
you get trampled.
Right. So, fire authorities said they started receiving reports that 10 people were pushed down under the crowd and experiencing breathing difficulties. So at this point, people are underneath people.
Yeah.
The first 4 ambulances were dispatched, followed by 6 more a few minutes later. But what was happening was that they were parking on the end and they can't get to the people who need help.
Sure.
And people began pushing from behind, and there was nothing they could do about it. People were suffocating, screaming, falling. There was just too many. And the one officer, I actually have something from him specifically, but it was really just, I couldn't imagine, because he was there like trying at the
What
end,
are you gonna do?
because he's hearing from the calls about what's happening in the middle. So he's trying to tell everyone over here, like, go the other way. Like, people are dying, and people don't understand. There's not enough of him to be able to stop people. So the scene, there was dozens of people attempting CPR on each other, because there was nobody able to help them. There were many dead in the street. I'm thinking here, where is the total? It was about 59 people had died at about 2:30 in the morning. 120 dead total by the end of it all, with 100
Wow.
injured. That 100 injured went up to 150 by once everybody was out, which is just in an alley.
Just getting crushed. That's a ton of people.
120. So Anna, a 24-year-old from Spain, was there, and she was saying that they were in a bar and were trying to leave, and they saw ambulances. And at that point, it's like you don't know what to do, and you don't know where to go, and there's nobody like helping you. So you don't know if you're going right into the crisis or not, or how do you get out of it. And even that would be pretty terrifying if you were there.
Run away. That's my MO.
Right. Right. So this was a really big deal in a lot of ways.
So-
Go ahead.
Tragic loss of life.
Horribly tragic.
One of the saddest things, well, maybe you're going to go into that when they went to go pick up the
Mhm.
belongings.
Yeah.
But initially seeing the photos of people like in their costumes still, like, but just, injured and distressed and, on the ground. And it's like such a joyous moment just interrupted,
Right.
So
the inspector, who was assistant inspector who was on duty that night, he said that he said, I tried to do my duty to help people. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do so. And there was actually a video of him that people have praised on social media, because he is seen in the video, like trying really
his
hard.
best.
Yeah.
is he the one that
So-
went up on the balcony and was yelling at people
Yeah.
to go the other way?
Yep. So he very worried, frantically trying to get people to go the other way, to stop piling in, yelling, people are dying, everybody move this way, please cooperate. He wasn't even supposed to be there. So, which I thought was interesting, because it's like, oh, there's one person there, maybe he was stationed there. He hadn't even been deployed to the streets that evening. So he just happened to be nearby and came over.
And probably saved a lot of people.
Well,
He's-
some questioned, why didn't you go get a megaphone? Because
I was thinking
nobody could
that.
hear that. And he even
Mhm.
questioned that himself. But I think in
In
the
the
moment,
moment.
Well,
you're
and it's
just,
happening so fast.
you're doing what
too.
you can in the moment. I mean, to leave and come back, is that
Yeah.
better
Like go
than
to the
trying to
store,
help
yeah.
right now?
Yeah, like
you
where's that
know,
at far?
I mean, I don't think that we can like
Yeah.
question in hindsight things that we did in the moment that were instinctive.
Right. Well, and to me, like if there's someone there dying, like, or, you know, struggling to be alive. I'm going to do everything I can there if leaving feels wrong. He said he was at the station waiting to be dispatched for any crimes that night. So there had been no mention of crowd control that night for anything of the Halloween stuff going on that weekend. They received the altercation alleyway. Remember the one I said, the kind of outside the club or the bar. So he went out to go investigate that. That was why he was there. So you did a topic about, I'm trying to think here. What was it called? It was in South Korea, I believe.
The Seawall ferry disaster.
Yes, in
where
2014.
Hundreds and hundreds of school kids drowned.
Because of,
It was horrific.
because of overcrowding, and no,
it was a
no
botched
accountability.
response for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Right. For the rescue was awful and horrible. And this is really hit with the community there. They feel, especially the youth there, the young adults there, feel very abandoned by their government for the response or lack of response, because they don't feel, you know, South Korea is like known for their youth, pop stars, and like that's internationally. But when calls to police are made, things like that, it gets, so far since 2014, it has been very poor response to that age group, and they feel that there's some bias that
They feel overlooked.
right. So that has created a movement of social activism for a lot of the young adults there, and there's been a lot of rallies since the mornings. And
I think it's really
Vigils.
important that when you have, you know, anger and rage and frustration or whatever it is, that you do try to find a way to pivot to action with that.
right.
And advocacy work is a great way to do that.
So I just really, this hit so close to that other topic that you did. And there was the bridge collapse that happened recently too.
Oh, in India?
Yeah. And that was another overcrowding where they let like, how many, it was like almost 100,000 people or something on, or even 200,000 on that bridge.
I don't remember exactly how many,
I'd have
but
to look it up
they had
now.
just opened it from being repaired. So something was fucked up about that.
Right.
We need to see who was approving that permit or whatever.
Yes. And well, did you see that the engineers for that do like they're not even bridge engineers who fixed it. They like do repair work on like other minor things, but bridges, like big infrastructure, is not even their area. So it was super weird that they were the ones doing it and that they signed off on it, and then it collapsed.
It's like roller coaster repair people.
Right. No,
You
it
don't
was so,
even
it
know
was
how.
like they listed off some things. I'm like, what? I would not feel secure having that company fix my bridge.
An ancient bridge. It's like an ancient bridge that they were like
super
fixing up.
historical. Yeah.
I mean, with my fear of heights, I wouldn't have stepped on anyway.
Yeah.
But you're trusting, and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, this is being reopened. This is.
And there were so many kids, and
I'm being
elderly
told this
on
is
there,
safe.
like,
You know,
right. You
you
trust.
you want to have that trust, because or else
Mhm.
how do you function in the world? You have to have some trust.
Well,
No,
the
I don't
US
either.
is super bad for bad infrastructure, but yeah, it's
Have you seen my bridge over here, High Bridge?
oh, that's super
It's
bad.
literally
That's terrifying.
crumbling into the
It's
ground.
scary.
Like they have whole sections now that you can't even
Because if you were
drive
to
by
flick
or
it, it
walk
would
by.
fall over.
Like a whole part fell off like within the last few
Mhm.
months. Yeah, it's bad. I just drive really fast when I have to go over it. Like, well, if it's my time, it's my time. But I'm like pedal to the metal.
When you're in traffic on it.
No.
Right.
Well,
no,
you know, I had really bad PTSD from the 89 Loma Prieta quake. And I did not cross over a bridge for an entire year after that. Like I had legit PTSD, and it was not even till a few years ago that I would go on the bottom deck of the Bay Bridge from San Francisco back over to where my mom lives now in traffic. Like I've just been able to do that just in the last 5 years.
Good job.
But I drive on the outer lanes, one of the two outer, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, if it collapses,
That's like where I choose my seat on the plane.
then like maybe I'll be able to, I don't know,
Like,
get out or
Do
something.
like a James Bond move and like veer off and
Something.
like jump out of the car.
Something in my
in a
mind.
swimsuit, like a hot swimsuit, dive in.
What is the
Something like
safest seat on an airplane choice?
Well, I
I've
mean,
heard conflicting.
I've heard conflicting too. I've heard over the wings. I mean, in the front, it's just, to me, it's just common sense that nose is hitting first. So, I mean,
Well, sometimes the ass tracks though.
and that's true. And then also over the wings, the engines are at the wings. So
I want to be near an exit. I like that.
I like that too. Like I like being like behind,
but
the
I don't
exit.
like being in charge.
That's what, be right behind it. That way you're the one of the first off.
Also, if it breaks, I don't want to get sucked out. So I want to be
Right.
like close to it, but not too close.
Right. So, but that's where you'd pick the aisle seat in the row right behind it. Then your first one up, waiting. Here I am. And then you
Yeah.
let me off. But you don't get sucked out the window.
I might fly somewhere in May.
Soon
May,
in May, where are you going?
which feels soon. I might
I'm-
fly home in May.
I'm flying on Friday. I'm going to Pittsburgh.
I haven't flown for a long time. We'll see if it happens.
I'll let you know if I survive.
I'll probably find out if you don't. It'll probably be in the news.
Right. Fair. Yeah. So moral of the story is that you should people place trust in their government and systems to keep them safe.
Question everything, trust no one. I've, never been in that extreme of a crowd situation, but I used to go to a lot of concerts and I wanted to be right freaking up front. And I remember people like surging and pressing
And
me
you
forward.
feel it,
Like at those big arenas, like there's thousands of people behind me. And like the band like you have your space, but then the band starts and everyone's like, "Rah,"
Mhm.
and then you have to like push back and then it
Right,
like
right.
creates a whole thing.
Well,
Like if you got knocked off your feet and nobody noticed you,
right.
like when I got kicked in the face at that one show and knocked out cold and nobody noticed that I was unconscious on the floor, like I can see how these things happen.
Right. Well, and that was with
It's my ex-husband
in
and my
Seoul,
kid's
they came
godfather. Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Seoul, they came from both sides, which like, what do
Yeah.
you do? Like you're literally just being sardined.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's heartbreaking. I mean,
Heartbreaking.
when the footage of the relatives going
Oh.
to that
Yeah. The vigil.
the place to pick up the belongings.
Oh, right.
And how they had it all just like neatly laid out. It was just like, oh
Mhm.
God, it was like phones and purses and shoes and just all super organized
Right.
and just
Now you guys are organized and have a plan.
Mhm. After.
Like,
Well,
right.
there
Yeah.
was so many there were so many government apologies like after, but that's like at that point it's like,
I mean, at least they're apologizing. Sometimes
Well,
our government
they're
does
not-
not even take that step.
and I think that might have
our
been
government likes to go, oh
why they
no, it was their
released-
fault. It wasn't me.
that might have been
It's
why
their
they
fault.
released the recordings and stuff too, may just be like, let's go fully transparent and just
I
apologize.
think you have to.
because
You have to
there's
be like, we fucked up.
yeah,
let's-
and I get that you can't plan for everything. However, when you have that many people in a public area,
When people are calling
yeah, that's
for
the
help.
line for me. Like, okay, you
Yeah.
didn't have enough people set up in the first place. I get it. Okay, that could
Right,
happen.
right.
Unexpected crowd surge. But when people call, you need to
You need
send
to
people.
come.
The fact
That's
that you
your
ignored
job
it for
as police.
hours. Like trust people. When people don't like to call the police, so they're calling the police worried. Listen to them.
Listen to
That's a good
them.
point. I felt that at Disneyland before.
What did you have
You-
there?
Just that experience of so
Mm,
many
so many
people
people.
coming in from different ways.
Yeah.
And we were actually next to the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse and got to like walk up the treehouse
Mm.
and get out of it.
Right.
But I think I still have a photo of the crowd and it was at a scary level. And I'm like thinking,
Did you
what-
feel uncomfortable?
I just feel like there's a cutoff point that Disneyland should,
And not be greedy.
Yes, like a lower cutoff point of the maximum capacity, and that wasn't happening.
One of the most enjoyable things about COVID was they did limit crowds.
They did.
I enjoyed that. I liked having space around
Yeah.
me. I liked having a marker on the floor that told people how far away from me they needed to stand.
I love being able to look at it and look at them and look at them, look at them. And they knew, and they'd step back and they were upset about it, but they knew that they were in the wrong.
I would just turn around and go,
Yeah, I'm still that way. Like there's just, if there's not a need, back up. Just get off of me now. There's plenty of space. And if there's not, and I call the police, you better answer the phone.
Too
All
many
right.
people in elevators.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no, no.
I will step out of the elevator.
Yeah, I won't go
I
in.
will not. I do. It's
My work office,
uncomfortable.
we have the scariest, sketchiest elevator that makes all the noises when you go up it, and you're like,
I have no
one day.
problem stepping out or
Take the
saying,
stairs.
no, your family of 10, go ahead
Yeah.
with all your luggage. I'll take the next one.
I've done before where I'm like, actually, we're full. I don't mind telling other people it's full either. Like, sorry.
I like taking the stairs, honestly. If it's not like 15 floors up and I have suitcases, I will take the stairs.
I'm excited for you to
Good
ride
for
on a
me.
plane.
I didn't say I was gonna, I
Yeah.
said I was thinking about it. I am contemplative stage of change. It has been something I've been thinking about doing, because I'm like, you gotta die sometime. Maybe I'll die going to California to see my family
Maybe you'll
instead of
live,
taking
though.
2 days to drive. 2 days on the front and back end of a vacation means a lot of vacation days I have to take,
Right.
instead of I could just like zip down.
Yep.
Gotta do some exposure therapy.
I've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't fly for 15 years and I exposure therapied myself and it worked. And then I'm like, okay, I just need to every 6 months fly somewhere. And then I didn't fly again until
Now, maybe.
maybe now. Yeah.
I'm excited for your topic.
It's another topical topic.
Ooh,
Hide my
I can't
Or
see.
smile.
Good.
Or are we cutting it this time or not?
Sure.
All right. This is a little personal. It's titled, "What the hell, Elon Musk?" Because I personally feel let down. So for
What's the
me,
title within the title.
Right.
within the title,
Yeah.
for me,
So deep.
revered genius electric car guy to Twitter super creep. I'm going to present a timeline.
Super creep.
Okay.
Super creep.
I used
Super
to put
creepy. Yeah.
I used to put Elon Musk on a pedestal. I even quoted him with reverence during my artificial intelligence
I remember.
topic.
Right.
I bought Dogecoin.
Oh, have the times have changed. Do you want to say that again?
I bought Dogecoin.
You're saying that again. Okay.
So embarrassing.
How'd that go? Down?
Down real fast.
Down dog.
All right.
Downward dog.
Down doggy. Super brief bio in case you don't
In case you don't know who
in
this
case
guy
you live
is.
under a rock and don't know who Elon Musk is. We are the exact same age. I
Interesting.
am 1 month older than him.
Let me don't release the age at all, but that's a frame of reference.
That's all that matters.
I know.
No,
one knows.
I think age is fine. We're both born in 71.
Mm, good year.
I think he's a Gemini. June. I'm a Taurus.
The better.
Better.
Clearly.
Ages, all ages are beautiful. I'm here to bust ageist bullshit.
Yes.
So, a brief bio. He's the founder, CEO, and chief engineer of SpaceX, who I used to be super nerdo space
Right, it was cool.
spacey into.
Especially since NASA got quiet on a lot.
I followed all their shit, all their launches, all their failures. I was like, yeah, this could be a thing, commercial space business. Ob CEO, product architect of Tesla, founder of the Boring Company,
which is super the underground.
which was going to do this
tunnels.
cool commuter tunnel system. I thought,
So
wow,
needed, right?
what a witty name, the Boring Company.
TBD.
I even almost bought the year he was selling the flamethrowers.
Oh, right. Who doesn't need a flamethrower? It
Because
was just like this odd, eccentric,
and it was like only $150.
and exciting.
It was exciting. Like I could own a flamethrower. Think of all the things I could do
remember
in
when it
my
came out,
alley with one of those.
I had a discussion about flamethrowers too at that time.
Yeah.
And I was convinced.
I wanted a boring hat. I mean, I was all in. I was all in. Yeah. So Musk is the wealthiest person in the entire fucking world. He has an estimated net worth of around 195 billion, which I can't even understand what 1 billion is.
Well, that's the whole thing is like, you can't. And I've had so many people say like, let me explain how 1 billion is bigger than everything else. And
Like-
I go and
like, I get a million. I can wrap my head around a million.
Hundreds of thousands up to that point.
But it's like 100 million. Like what? Like that's all too much. He has 10 kids.
Slip that little fact in there.
And that's just 1 billion. And he has 195 billion.
Billion? Yeah, that's why I'm like
$1
I can't-
billion.
like I need to see it in grains of rice. Like that's
Mhm.
how I understand the world. Like I went to
Visual.
this like museum once and they had this whole display of grains of rice and it was like, this is how many stars are in the galaxy. And I was like, okay, I
Yeah, I
get
can see it.
it.
Yeah.
It's a fucking lot.
It's a lot of grains of rice.
Like
We
show
need,
me
like,
a
Elon
billion
Musk.
in grains of rice.
I'm gonna look it up. Keep going.
See if there's a billion in
I'm
grains
gonna
of
look it up.
rice.
Yeah.
Like would it fill this room or would it be like more?
Okay, I'm gonna look
God,
up
I
1
don't-
billion grains of rice and see what that looks
Yeah, I need a vish.
like. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so I did a topic on the Thai cave rescue
Visual of that too.
and
I watched that. I watched.
did you watch the movie The Ron
thing.
Howard or did you watch the original documentary stuff?
The new one.
Oh, Jeff Bezos.
That's 122 billion.
122 billion. Well, Elon has more
100,000.
more rice than that. I gotta show Sarah too.
Okay, so it's
It's a lot of rice. Got rice.
especially
bitch.
comparatively, yeah.
Do you remember E-Bombs World?
No.
Never mind. If you know, you know.
Oh, sorry.
I
Sorry.
think something's happening.
That was more than I intended.
It's
to
gone
show.
on to other things. Suddenly we're seeing like some rice sex or I don't know what we're saying there.
Wait, can I?
Yeah, do you wanna
I
say a
have
thing?
really good thing. My
Okay.
dad actually posted this on Facebook. He just posted this recently because of Powerball.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like 1.9 bill.
To put things in perspective, your odds of winning the Powerball are 1 in about 300 million.
Hmm.
If you pick 1 second out of, hold on. If you pick 1 second out of 300 million, it would be over 9 years of seconds. But I'm still gonna take my chance
Wait,
because
can you,
my second is there somewhere.
can
Did
you
your
say it-
dad did your dad buy a Powerball ticket?
Yeah,
Is that what he's saying?
basically, yeah. Did you get that?
No,
Did that
can you
make
say it one more? I
confusing?
need it one more time.
It was a little
slowly.
deep for me. Yeah.
Okay, so your odds of winning the Powerball are 1 in about 300 million.
Okay.
If you pick 1 second out of 300 million, it would be over 9 years of seconds.
Oh, that's a lot of
9 years
seconds.
of seconds is 300 million.
Oh, wow.
So you can kind of like.
So how many years of seconds is 195 billion? Is that my lifetime? Oh my God.
Beyond that.
I have not bought a Powerball ticket.
I have not either. Have you,
Haven't,
Sarah?
no.
No.
I'm hoping my dad wins.
Yeah, if your dad wins, you're
You're
golden.
great. Yeah.
So during
Or you're
that,
disowned, one or the other.
Right? That would be really messed up.
I watched this thing, like a hawk. I was all in, and there was these amazing like British cave rescue experts that were the only ones in the world that could possibly help because one of them happened to also be an anesthesiologist. It was like stars aligning. They were really the only people that could get these kids out and that understood the risk.
I was hooked.
So Elon Musk wanted to like be a part of things, and so he like had his team like overnight or whatever design this like submarine thing that he thought he could put the kids in and take them out, but he really wasn't understanding the scope of the thing. And so when the British cave guy said it was like not going to work, Musk attacked him and called him a pedo guy, like a
That's
pedophile.
right, I remember that. Yeah, they like
Yeah.
slammed him on the internet.
A pedophile, like what?
Mhm.
Like completely out of line. It seemed childish to me. I was like, that's really
Well, it's
a
probably
childish
because
response.
he knew that the guy could be right and got super offended that anyone would doubt him. That's the narcissism. He's such a narcissist.
But I mean, you just can't be like that. Like when kids' lives are involved, but you can obviously. So
I
then
guess.
so that was like kind of my first like, what's happening with Elon Musk?
Mhm, mhm.
And then in July of 2020, he tweeted pronouns suck. So this was really perceived by many, including myself,
Mhm.
to be a transphobic statement.
Mhm.
And then in a separate but related tweet, he talked about how aesthetically displeasing pronouns were. And Grimes, who was dating at the time, you know, had at that time and has always had no problem with like conflicting
Mhm.
with Elon Musk on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not a Twitter person, but
Me
I
neither.
like see screen grabs of
Mhm.
Twitter stuff.
Mhm.
And my son is obsessed with Grimes. Hopefully that's okay to say, son. So I kind of like see things from like the Grimes point of view, just because he's been all in with her as a musical artist.
Mhm.
He's also tweeted really dumb sexist jokes. Like in October 2021, he tweeted that he proposed opening a school, listen to the acronym, called the Texas Institute of Technology and Science. So what's that acronym?
Say it again.
Texas Institute of Technology and Science. I'll just cut to the chase. It's tits. It's tits, people.
Oh,
It's tits.
I was like,
Technology.
no.
And so someone even responded, well, we could switch the science and technology. And he was like, no, it has to be technology and science. And then he added in the thread,
Schools go by their abbreviation all the time. Like,
it
come on.
will have epic merch, universally admired. So super dumb, super sexist.
So dumb.
And we know that women have historically had a really difficult time like making their way in science and technology fields. So it's just like, to me, like devaluing, keeping people down.
Oh, 150 million%. Yes.
When you have 195 billion, I guess you don't need to pay attention to social cues.
Well, that's one of the things though, is like once you're in that position, like he gained a position of power and authority and then had no idea to do with the social aspect that came along with all that. He was fine when it was about the business. And then it's like, people like me. And then he gets weird.
Yeah.
But yet he's still doing okay financially. Like
I mean,
it hasn't really hurt him yet.
Yes.
I was about to say, I mean, that doesn't mean anything in our world.
So in another childish thing and rude, in April of 2022, so this year, he tweeted a photo of Bill Gates and wrote, in case you need to lose a boner fast.
What?
What? Like, why? Like, why? I don't get it. And next to it, so it was like Bill Gates' photo on one side, just like, you know, a candid.
Bill.
And then next to it was like an animated, like, avatar thing that had like a big belly. I don't know. It was just pointless. Like, why are we being mean?
Funny, and it's not.
Well,
it's like little kid bullying humor.
I was about to say because most of these have stemmed from somebody like questioning his approach on something. Because I've seen Bill Gates talk about some things too, but I don't think he knows how to handle that well. Instead of just defend your piece and then shut the fuck up, man. Nobody cares about your memes.
I just can't relate to, I've never been a person that like posts personal like stuff online or even like
vendettas or venting on their emotional
or like calling
views.
people out. Like I've never in a million years done that.
I
have
done
been
that
called
either.
out.
Have you?
Yeah, in the roller derby days, fuck yeah,
Oh,
I have.
bet,
I've
I
been
bet.
called out. I have been tore up from the floor
I
up.
had an ex.
On social media.
I had
Yeah,
an
on
ex do that. I had to
Facebook.
create a whole new profile because I had an ex just start posting horrible
It
things and
was called
tagging
out
me.
to a long time ago.
Were you?
Were you?
Way back.
I chose to not respond in my mind, which
MySpace.
I was like, don't put fuel on the fire, but I don't think that's the world we live in. Like
No.
everybody now is meant to clap back. You're supposed to clap back. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Clap back.
Podcast name, clap back.
What's that dance called? Chicken dance.
Chicken dance.
Chicken dance back. We're starting it.
I
It's a
like
new thing.
clap. I think it was my MySpace. And pretend they were saying stuff that was me. Like
What?
as me.
MySpace. We're
I
taking
loved-
it
I
all the
loved-
way back.
I'm just saying I liked MySpace. I like that I could have pick a song. I could have pictures on my
I like that it
page.
was like dark.
It was like your own website where you were
It was like color wise, aesthetically, it was dark. I liked that.
right, right. Yeah, well, you can make your own themes and stuff too. Like you can personalize it and like
It was like your
there's nothing
calling
personal
card.
about Facebook.
I fucking hate Facebook.
Nothing personal at all. Even Instagram, you can't actually make the site personal to you. It's like only what you put in is personal.
Mhm. Let's bring back MySpace.
Back then we hated it. It was like we need something better than MySpace.
Well, ask for what you want and be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Right.
In June of this year, 2022, Elon Musk's transgender daughter legally changed her name to Vivian Jenna Wilson, getting rid of the last name Musk.
Mm.
She stated in the documents that the switch was motivated, quote, by the fact that she no longer lives with or wishes to be related to her biological father in any way, shape, or form.
Dang.
Musk's response, quote, relationships may change, but I have very good relationships with all the others. Can't win them all. I was like, what the fuck?
I mean,
If one of my kids,
he has
like,
10 kids.
if I was estranged from any of my children, I would be deeply distressed and trying to figure out a way to reconnect.
As you should be.
Yeah. Like if I've ever had a fight with my kids, I'm immediately like, I'm so sorry. Like, let's talk it out. I shouldn't have said that.
From what
Are we good? I
From what
love
I've
you.
read about him, that is just he is not personable at all, even in his personal life.
There's emotional detachment. for sure.
There's some probably something.
It makes me confused
Allegedly.
why Grimes would partner with him because from what I know of her, which is nothing that's
Really?
actual, it's just what's
Right.
out there. She seems very intelligent, artistic, creative, progressive. So I'm just unsure of that, but
Mhm.
I'm sure she's got great reasons. They have 2 kids, X and Y,
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their nicknames. I can't
Right.
pronounce their
I
actual
can't, yeah.
names. I don't understand how you pronounce an A and E melded together. Are you ready for this one?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I mean,
We're here for it.
we're here for it. I like that. That's a good response. I may not be ready, but I'm here for it.
His company killed monkeys.
Oh, why?
We're animal lovers. So a lot of this info came from an article on Future. In September of 2021, it became known that UC Davis in California refused to release a cache of grisly photos of monkeys reportedly injured during experiments testing Elon Musk's Neuralink brain implant technology. I know. Anything with animals just makes me so sad.
I mean, if you're not willing to put it, I mean, he might be willing to put it in his own children's brain, actually. So, I mean,
So there were
He
371
might have.
photos of the experimented upon monkeys that took place in the school's veterinary lab facilities. Earlier in 2021, Neuralink, the company, admitted that 1/5 of the 23 rhesus macaque monkeys,
oh, I saw a bunch of those in Spain or
they're
on the island.
they're
of
like very
Gibraltar.
social.
So
Mhm.
cute.
They were actually brought onto the island of Gibraltar to keep the soldiers company there.
Aw.
So 1/5 of 23, someone do the math. It
No.
used to, it,
How
they had
dare
to
you?
be euthanized because they developed infections and had malfunctions when they were used to test the brain hacking implants. The photos depict, among other things, necropsies of animals killed in experiments. So that's, I had to look that word up. It's autopsies is what that means. So it really show like what the damage was.
Gotcha.
So the group that sued to get these photos released, you know, what were they called? There's some kind of advocates group. Hopefully I have them in here somewhere. But UC Davis thinks the public is too stupid to know what we're looking at, but it's clear that the university is simply trying to hide from taxpayers the fact that it partnered with Elon Musk to conduct experiments in which animals suffered and died. It's something,
Boo.
physicians committee, something I think is two of the words.
Boo.
So Neuralink, Musk company, paid UC Davis 1.4 million to use its facilities. As the press release notes, the school had already released hundreds of pages of documents which showed monkeys suffering from chronic infections, seizures, paralysis, and painful side effects after the experiments. So Neuralink, which their whole thing was letting brains interact and communicate with computers, did acknowledge that monkeys died as part of the testing procedures, but denied allegations of animal cruelty. Neuralink
Wonder what
stated,
that line is.
all novel medical devices and treatments must be tested in animals before they can be ethically trialed in humans.
Which
So
is
that's their justification.
yeah, but usually it has to have like a foundational research theory first. Like there has to be something before they start testing on animals. Like that's a different phase. Are you okay?
Choking on my wine.
Physicians committee, is that what you said?
Yeah, is there like more words to
It
that?
just says the physicians.
Oh, okay.
Committee. Oh,
I thought there were more words.
for responsible something.
Yes,
I
that's
lost
it. Yeah.
I'll find
So
it
they
again.
really are a group that is making sure that research involving animals is ethical, legal and ethical.
Mhm.
Neuralink was testing Bluetooth enabled implantable chips that were inserted into the monkeys' brains. And in April of 2020, they released a photo, which is really sad to look at and seems really pointless to me when monkeys' lives are on the line. But they claimed monkeys could play Pong, which was like the very first video game ever. And they released a photo of the monkey sitting there, not connected to the screen, with like Pong there. So Neuralink claimed that monkeys could play Pong just using their minds. And they released a video of a monkey called Pager, a male macaque, moving a
Cute.
cursor on screen without using a joystick to do so. And they, released that proudly, but knowing that monkeys died to get to that, it's like you have to weigh benefits and risks.
Which I mean, that's how science goes, unfortunately, in our history books. But I'm not very impressed by that. I want to know what, again, intent and purpose. Okay, but why? What are you gonna?
Well, the
how
ultimate
are you
goal,
benefiting?
let me go to the end.
Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.
That's it. So the ultimate goal,
Let's find it.
is noble. It's where a person with paralysis could use a device like a computer or phone using only brain activity.
Okay.
But do we need to necessarily research on animals when it's obviously very risky and the animals are dying? So this doesn't seem like it's safe research. and all their alternatives. So that group that you just mentioned, their whole thing is looking at alternatives to animal research. Are there alternatives? And I know there's people that would volunteer for this shit. If there's over 100 people that volunteered to go on a death mission on the Mars One bullshit to be
Right.
put forward to a
Right.
pod and sent to certain death to Mars, where you have to eat seaweed grown in a petri dish and like live in a pod.
I viewed it rather in a glorified way until you said that, and I was like, I guess she's right.
Yeah.
So did Neuralink look at, are there human volunteers? Like people have
And-
self-determination, right? If somebody feels this is a noble cause, they want to put their life on the line.
Right. Let them.
Let
Well,
'em.
and there's hierarchy too here, just in terms of, so like I get, yes, other alternatives outside of animals, but most research for a reason starts with mice. Not saying that that's like better, but
I'm glad I didn't say guinea pigs because I would flip a table.
I am a pet rat haver, like, but I mean, people buy mice all the time and feed them to their pet snakes. So like, I'm just saying, like, could they have started? Because
I
then
used to do that.
I'm just saying, if 5 mice died in the experiment, then maybe we don't move it forward to monkeys. Like, why is that the first animal species you go to? Like,
Closest to human.
I know, but why? But you should be able to show some sort of it
Agreed.
here first without significant loss. Or else you're gonna just put it in humans and be okay with the 75% of the population that dies first?
I love this discussion we're having.
I like the volunteer idea though.
Oh,
if
super.
people Are willing.
Yeah.
to-
I'd rather
wanna
have that than
pay-
animals any day.
And don't just like historically, sometimes they've just gone to prisoners.
I don't like that either. at
Like,
all.
don't do that. Like, let's just
Yeah.
let's do
That's
a
strong
wide
arming.
call for volunteers.
There's enough idiots in the world to, I mean, and
Well, it's
maybe
a
it works.
noble cause. I mean, I remember
Right.
during COVID when they needed people to test that vaccine, there was doctors stepping up like,
Right.
this is a noble cause. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's worth it to me.
Either
Put my
people-
life on the line for the bigger cause.
Right, and that's, to me, it's such a wild card. It's like, what's that site that you can go on and like raise money for random projects and have people
GoFundMe.
Kickstarters?
GoFundMe,
Oh,
Kickstarter.
yeah.
I mean, both of those, but it's like,
Why don't I have
you-
one yet?
you may get on board with one that's like, great, I'm doing a good thing, or you may just have your money stolen from you and you get fucked up. Like,
I think I ordered something once that I never got.
did
A
you?
prototype of something. It was supposed to be super cool.
Because it probably never funded fully, except
Well-
for they got your money in their pocket and they walked away. Because that's all they have to do is not do it, and they keep your money. It's sketchy. It's super.
I mean, I
sketchy.
honestly forgot about it until now. Now I'm like,
You might need to look into that. Track that email back.
So in the lawsuit, the committee alleges that staff at the university removed pieces of the skulls of rhesus macaque monkeys and inserted electrodes into the animals' brains. The lawsuit alleges the monkeys were not provided with adequate veterinary care, which sucks because UC Davis is a veterinary college. And that,
Weird.
We're
and
trying to keep it.
Well,
I think it was probably
there's
under wraps.
probably the research side of it too. Like, it's not necessarily their vet techs doing this, you
They didn't
know.
want their vets to know, or the vets would be like, stop this
I would
madness."
imagine a lot of people would have big issue with this if it was more public, because I have never even heard of this, and I'm pretty
You know how I
impressed.
heard about it? My son told me about it
Right, he knows everything.
because I was like, I think I'm going to do a topic on Elon Musk. What do you know? And he goes, that he killed monkeys. And I was like, what? I'm like on my phone. I'm like, he did kill monkeys.
Bless the younger generation.
Yeah.
They get all the news headlines.
And he gets very specific ones, which like suit my needs for the
Reddit gotta be.
podcast. So there was an unapproved substance, quote unquote, known as bioglue, which makes me feel very uncomfortable.
That made me instantly think of that like skin glue that you would put to like
Skin
heal your
glue?
yeah, like the Band-Aid, like
Oh.
you'd put it on, it was like a super glue that would it was like a liquid Band-Aid. That's what it was.
Oh, I've ever used that.
Yeah.
Did it work?
Yeah,
I just use super glue.
that's literally what it is. Except for I think it might have some healing stuffy in there.
Instead
to
of like,
help you.
chemical.
I mean,
Oh, like
I'm
a little
just-
Neosporin mixed in
I
the
mean, I'm guessing, but I honestly don't know that. It could just be super glue.
So the lawsuit alleges that this bioglue killed monkeys by destroying portions of their brain. In Neuralink's blog, the company did say one surgical complication involving the use of the FDA-approved bioglue, they had to throw that in there, was that monkeys were euthanized. Oh, here's the picture of poor little, what did I say his name was?
Pager?
Pager
What a
playing the
cute name.
game.
I love
Oh,
it.
sweet dog.
I know, but it's like, it just seems so petty
I
that
can't.
they're dying for like, why? Like that, it just made me so,
I mean-
so angry.
Babies.
Like, again, like, okay, if he had like a big research, if Elon Musk had his own research institute that was like its whole mission and heart was this, and like it was very public and transparent, and there were, you could see from start to finish how one piece went into the next, justify it, intent and purpose, but it's not, it's like, oh, I had a whim that I want to do this thing that feels very purposeful, but like, where does it go? Where did it end? Why? Is it going to go anywhere from here? Was it just because you had, is this the board company all over again?
Boring.
Boring. Sorry.
But is he bored?
He's just bored.
And I've often
He's a very
thought,
busy,
I've
very
often
busy guy. I
tried
will
to
say
put
that.
He's probably not.
myself in the mind of an Elon Musk, who is the
I
CEO
read an
of like
audiobook about it.
many companies. And I'm imagining like my own job, clinical director. I have lots of programs, but it's not lots of companies. And I have a hard enough time like keeping track
right.
of all that. Like you have to put your trust in other people.
And he doesn't though, from what I've heard of him. From
like you can't keep track of
he
that.
micromanages like a mofo,
Really?
and is very like things are very.
He doesn't sleep.
he
I've
had-
read that.
He had a secretary who was like totally ride or die for him for like a really long time when he was starting off. And she kept like, there was like this issue with scheduling where she like couldn't make something work. And in that point, like there was this moment of humanness where you would be like, okay, and he worked with her through that. Because that's what you do when somebody totally gives
Did he
up
have
everything
babies
for
with
you.
her?
No, he
Oh,
didn't.
did I see that?
Instead, he let her go and hired someone else who could do what he asked of her. And it was just the cutthroatness. Like there was no personal. It was every decision was a business decision. I can't publicly, allegedly.
It wouldn't be
Not like
valid
you.
because you have to do a face-to-face
No,
assessment.
like, does he have one?
I
Like,
mean, I doubt he
actually,
would
like,
share that publicly.
Is it not just out there?
I mean,
Like,
unless he's a bad therapist, probably not.
I feel like that should be.
I didn't look that hard into his bio to be H.
Yeah,
So
it's a good question.
Looking
We're
it up
just
right now.
we're just wary. I saw that he
Like, the
was,
client-
as of like the last 2 days, he already like blocked that one comedian chick for talking bad about
Kathy
him
Griffin.
on Twitter. You're right.
that was today.
She's
That was today.
extreme.
I
I know.
but-
I saw that and I didn't feel protective because I actually
I'm not
think
pro-
she's kind of
I'm not
obnoxious.
protective, but like
Oh.
But the point, principled.
the principle that okay, she
Yeah.
mocked the new owner and now he blocks her. It
Yeah,
feels again
what is
just
that?
so petty and dumb.
Which brings me
He's a
to my
comedian.
last topic on my timeline. Elon Musk just bought Twitter for $44 billion.
And who cares? Just kidding, but go ahead.
Well,
I have his diagnosis.
people care
Ooh.
because people are fearful that he might revisit Twitter's anti-trans hate policy, all in the name of free speech. So this
That's
little
been weird about that.
next bit, well, historically, he said pronouns suck, they're
Right.
aesthetically unpleasing.
Well, isn't there the whole thing too with the
And
Yes,
his
isn't
trans
that
daughter disowned him. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know anything beyond the headline.
and he's
so
made
I don't
statements
want to
with
read
Russia
into it.
too recently about the geopolitical stuff.
So this little bit is from the magazine article by Samantha Rydell. So it's been a little over 1 week after Elon Musk acquired Twitter.
Fritter.
Fritter.
Fritter. I can't wait for this new social media to start.
Maybe that's the new
Fritter.
the new thing.
Oh my gosh. If we only, I mean,
So
my techie friend.
what I was trying to say, I made a portmanteau between Twitter and Frozen because Twitter froze immediately some of their moderation tools. Because they're looking at revising, removing rules related to hate speech on the platform, especially anti-trans hate speech and misgendering. So some employees of Twitter recently came out and said they'd been locked out of back-end dashboards that would allow them to moderate accounts that push this type of misleading rhetoric and hate speech. So this move comes as part of a larger process of locking down code during the process of transferring ownership. So I sort of get that, like, let's just put a pause on things, like regrouping and all that. But what has happened as a result is that there's been an increase in hate speech coming out during this transfer of power. So I get you want to reduce insider risk, as this Twitter head of safety and integrity said, like that's what the lockout from the moderators is about, but a lot of bad things have happened. So since that happened, use of the N-word surged by 500%.
Oh my gosh. Basically, they're
And-
not pulling those posts when they get posted.
Right, they've shut down that moderation, and it's been said, like, yeah, it's a transfer of power. They don't want their own internal people to have a platform, so they shut down the people
That's
who
so
moderate
stupid.
access.
That's so stupid. That's so dumb, because assuming that your people aren't going to do their job is also not a great way to run your business. You're showing immediately that you have no
And
faith
he
in your
also fired a shit
employees.
ton of people.
And then, yeah, no trust in them. You're going to cut them off, and knowing that that's going to increase risk for harm other way, but your personal fear of damage to yourself is more of a concern for you. I don't like that. Go
So
away.
there's been a deluge of
Go.
anti-trans rhetoric, like immediately.
What if he boycotts our podcast? You know how famous we'd get so fast?
Please, we have our tribe. We don't want hate.
Come boycott us, Elon Musk. Everyone will all of a sudden know our name. Talk shit about us. I don't care. Go ahead.
I mean, they say, yeah,
Right.
there's nothing that's bad publicity.
I'm all for
So
it.
Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire wrote last week, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start misgendering again. And
No.
on her account, how libs of TikTok, Chaya Ratchik wrote the word groomer over a dozen times in one tweet and said she felt like a kid in a candy store following the sale. While Donald Trump wrote on the far right Twitter clone Truth Social, I didn't realize Twitter had a clone. He said, quote, Twitter is now in sane hands, unquote.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. I have no words.
And when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked by a hammer wielding attacker.
Right, recent. Yeah.
Yeah, this was just
Her
recently.
husband got in the hospital.
Yeah, so Musk shared a homophobic conspiracy theory right after that. He did end up deleting it, but
Because it's wow.
it was put out there, and there's record of that. He has 1 million followers.
He can delete what he wants when he doesn't think it goes over well.
Yeah, and I watched video of that couple who's removed from the plane recently.
Oh yeah, I saw.
And they called Musk a fucking king while they're being kicked off their plane. So I think,
So we don't like Musk anymore.
I think a good judge of what you're putting out there is, who are you attracting? Who is in your tribe?
That's it. I mean, that's what
You
we tell
know, I think
teenagers,
it's-
right? Let's go back to
yeah.
basics here because that's what
Yeah.
we tell teenagers. Who are your friends that you're hanging out with? Because I'm going to judge everything I think you're doing based on the friends I see around you.
Who are you hanging out with?
Right. Who are you hanging out with? Why is that kid in my house?
Who's raising each other up or
Right.
like,
You're doing
knocking
drugs now. I know.
I love it. So wrapping up here, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, in remarks at a summit on national security, disinformation, and online extremism this week said, while I haven't had any opportunity to engage directly with Mr. Mux,
Why not?
the point that I would make is that social media and platforms like Twitter have a huge responsibility. They can be a force for democracy, a force for connection, and for good. But also, if misused,
It's true.
they can do a huge amount of harm. So I felt like that really
Right.
captured,
Mhm.
because I'm trying to like process all this and like figure out like, what is my perception? Where do I stand? And I feel like that was it for me. Like, I'm a huge advocate for free speech. I don't like my information controlled,
Mhm.
but I think we do need to consider limits on hate speech, extremist hate speech,
Yeah.
when it's a powerful platform like Twitter,
Mhm.
because it can actually contribute to and lead to actual violence,
And suicide rates.
suicide towards marginalized minority people. And so responsible platforms
Like
should
real outcomes.
make it a safe place for everyone. As a recent example, I just
Absolutely.
have to say, Conway, I gotta bring Kanye back
Oh,
in.
yeah.
Did you say Conway?
I
Because I was
did.
really
I'm
excited
making
about that.
another portmanteau.
I love it.
I read all about him.
After you
Yeah,
watch it.
so he spewed his anti-Semitic garbage.
Mhm.
And then because he has such a following and a fan base, that hate spread like poison. You could
Contagion
just see
effect.
it growing,
bad.
and his fans were on that LA overpass, like just spewing hate towards the Jewish people. And it was really terrifying. I was super glad that Adidas dropped him,
I know we were talking
Yeah.
about that. I remember. yeah.
because
They did it.
coincidentally, each of my children separately had Adidas orders on the way. And I was like, okay, well,
Canceling.
those packages may arrive and we may be sending them right back. But they did that. And I'm like, okay, we can wear our Adidas. And
Mhm.
yeah, so thank you, Adidas, for
mean,
stepping up.
Yeah. I think there's
Nice
certain
one.
stepping up. That was good. I don't know. Like, I don't like it when people push their own agendas, but I do think there's just like a baseline value system of respecting people and not being a dick. Can we
Yeah.
just respect people and don't be a dick?
I think
That's it.
pride is great.
That's-
But I think pride sometimes crosses over into hate, and that's
Easily
where it's
on any side,
not
honestly.
cool. Like,
Right.
have pride, celebrate, but
Don't be a dick.
don't hate.
Until
your
next
title.
time.
Oh wait, we have to plug
Oh,
our
go for it. Yeah.
last thing. If
Right.
you haven't listened to our last episode,
Do because I talked about the sleeping sickness.
and I talked about freeing Brittany Griner, who her
did not get freed since our
appeal-
last podcast, and we're upset about it.
her appeal was not
Which we
accepted, and now
expected.
she's facing going to a Russian penal colony.
Mhm.
So
sad.
it's up to negotiations at this point. Her wife is really wanting us to just be sure that we are not like forgetting
Keep the
about
social pressure.
her wife. Like, we
care.
need to keep this in the forefront. If you'd like to support our podcast, the best way is to be our patron on Patreon. It's only $1, and you can get mental health advice from 3 therapists
for free.
Well, no, because it costs $1.
Oh, for $1.
Like and subscribe.
I mean,
Did you
like
say
and
that?
subscribe.
No,
for
like
free.
and subscribe.
You can follow us
Oh,
on
hype girl.
follow us
On
on
YouTube.
Podbean,
Subscribe.
YouTube, like and subscribe. We're on Spotify, iTunes, all those little
places.
music places. But we're honestly trying to build up the YouTube channel, so feel free to go check us out. You can actually see what we sound like.
Or
Sound
what?
like what we see like.
What you see.
I'm just gonna end that there.
Until next time,
Trust no one.
question everything.
That link button.
Don't kill monkeys.
Support your people and your youngins. They deserve it. Help our next become our best. Just give it up.
Lovely.
Bye.
Bye.